Your college news station starts right now.
Good evening, Lutz, and welcome to News at 9. I'm Devere Dudley.
And I'm Natalie DeFord. Here's a look at our top stories.
A plane crash in Los Angeles and Harrison Ford in the hospital.
Obamacare is making its way to the Supreme Court for the third time.
Austin Hilliker and Steve McGrain go in-depth for PLU Sports.
All that and more next on News at 9.
A new building will be added to campus this summer, just in time to help the flowers that bloom in spring. A greenhouse will soon join Riki and Morgan on lower campus. The main focus of the building will be for plant biology. The new greenhouse will offer students the chance to experiment on plant genetics, cell processes, gene expression, and evolutionary adaptations. The project will cost $880,000 and will open to the PLU campus on August 5th. To learn more about the new greenhouse, pick up an issue of the Mast on stands tomorrow.
The Keystone XL pipeline is locked down. An attempt to override the Obama White House's veto of the legislation failed yesterday. Senate Republicans needed 67 votes to do so, and they fell short by 5 votes. The Keystone project would have delivered oil from Canada to the Gulf of Mexico. Supporters say it would create jobs and lessen the country's dependence on other nations. Critics say the U.S. needs to reduce its reliance on fossil fuels. This was the third veto President Obama has issued during his administration.
Netflix's plan to debut the movie Beast of No Nation in U.S. theaters and online simultaneously isn't going well with theater chains. Regal Cinemas, AMC, and other major theaters are now refusing to show the film. Traditionally, most films aren't released for home viewing until 90 days after being released in theaters. Netflix acquired rights to the film and plans to make the most money from the acquisition. The online entertainment service made the same bold move when it announced plans to premiere a sequel to the 2000 blockbuster Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon in theaters and online in August later this year.
The future of healthcare in America was on the table in the Supreme Court this morning. Justices heard arguments in a case challenging a central provision of President Barack Obama's signature healthcare law. They focused on just a single section of the law governing the establishment of so-called health exchanges. The arguments could provide hints about whether the justices believe the law does not authorize the government to provide federal subsidies for Obamacare beneficiaries in the 34 states that didn't establish their own exchange. If the court ultimately rules against the Obama administration, more than 5 million individuals will no longer be eligible for the subsidies. This is the third time that parts of the healthcare law have been challenged at the Supreme Court.
Move over Verizon and AT&T and Sprint and T-Mobile, because a name you already know is looking to expand into the wireless business. Google announced Monday that it intends to start selling cell phone service. The company already makes the most used mobile software on the planet, the Android operating system. Google will not be building its own cell towers, though. Instead, it will operate on the networks of existing carriers. Google's product chief says the company is not hoping to unseat the big 4 wireless service providers. It just wants to push for more innovation. More information, including a launch date, will be revealed later this year.
Actor Harrison Ford has been involved in a small plane crash in California. The 72-year-old actor was seriously injured after a small vintage World War II training plane was forced to perform an emergency landing at a golf course in Los Angeles today. The FAA says the single-engine plane crashed west of the Santa Monica Municipal Airport. Ford was taken to a hospital. Ford's son said on Twitter that his dad is okay, and he thanked people for their thoughts and good vibes. His publicist says Ford is expected to make a full recovery. No one else was injured. Police and fire officials did not confirm that Ford was hurt, only saying the victim is a man in his 70s, citing medical privacy laws. The NTSB is investigating. So stay tuned. We'll be back after this commercial break.
Next up is Jenny Boots with On the Agenda.
They said I couldn't dream. Called me a piece of trash and swore that's all I'd ever be. Said a bottle couldn't see the ocean. Give up. Go back to the dumpster. But I didn't listen. I made my way. And now, I am what I've always wanted to be.
Hello, Lutz. Welcome to On the Agenda. I'm your host, Jenny Boots. You'll have to forgive me tonight as I suddenly came down with a pretty nasty head cold, so tonight's segment will be a little shorter. I'm very excited to welcome to our show one of campus's our very own celebrities. He is notoriously nice, charming, and a pretty good secret keeper when it comes to the confessions of PLU. Please welcome David Leon to our show today.
Hello.
Hi, David. So, David, you run and operate the PLU Confess page, right?
Yep.
Cool. So, when did you start PLU Confess?
November of 2013.
Yeah. And why did you start it?
Well, mainly because I got bored, and I wanted to know like what people are up to. I like having people argue very dramatic stuff.
Cool. Awesome. So what's the most surprising thing to come out of PLU Confess?
I think I veered off from my original intent of what the page was, which is for people to vent with their frustrations. And now people are asking me for advice because I've been here for so long, so I know all these different people that I've networked with on campus. So I have access to resources, and people are like, "Can you help me get in touch with these resources on campus?" And I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah, that's awesome. How does it work? Does it remain anonymous or?
Oh yeah, I use the website SurveyMonkey. So people post, I don't see anything that would identify them. So the post is completely anonymous.
Yeah. Oh. All right. Well, great. So what's next? You're a senior this year. What will happen with the page?
Right now, I'm trying to interview people to train to take over the page because it takes a certain type of person to run this page. Let me tell you. So far, I've got a girl and a guy. I want to be, gender inclusive and everything, because people are very heated about that stuff.
It's true.
But yeah, if they don't do well in the final, rounds of the interviews, I'm just gonna keep running the page.
Wow, cool. Well, David, thank you so much for coming on. I guess if you're interested, check out David's page and let him know if maybe you'd like to operate the site. David, thank you. So this weekend is jam-packed with PLU's top talent. All weekend long, the School of Arts and Communications Theater Department will be putting on a production of Steel Magnolias. Be sure to check it out. And let us know what you think of their Southern accents at www.mastmedia.plu.edu. On Saturday, March 6th is a triple threat performance of Harmonic, Plutonic, and the Clay Crows. Check that out as well if you can. And of course, pick up the newest edition of The Mooring Mast, available at newsstands around campus. And as always, Lutz, have a safe and happy weekend.
It's on us to stop sexual assault.
To get in the way before it happens.
To get a friend home safe.
And to not blame the victim.
It's on us.
To look out for each other.
To not look the other way. It's on us to stand up.
To step in.
To take responsibility.
It's on us, all of us,
to stop sexual assault.
Learn how and take the pledge at itsonus.org.
Hi Lutz and welcome back. I'm Sam Lund with our sports segment. This week we have a special presentation. Our very own Austin Hilliker and Stephen McGrain came together to do a sports talk show on Laser Radio. The Stone Cold Truth. Take a look. I got that totally messed up. I couldn't speak English. Oh.
Who, as we mentioned, last weekend beat Linfield, who was preseason ranked number 4 in the country, and they won the series. So now they vaulted themselves in the 23 spot in the nation, and they just completely dominated.
You split Saturday, come out, grab a win on Sunday. You finish it going 2-1 overall. Pacific drops down to 1-6, 0-4 in conference. PLU, our Lutes 9-3, and then 3-1 in conference. Pretty quiet the first day for the first couple innings. There was only 1 point scored within the first 4 innings, but then PLU kind of put it on towards the end, scoring 1 in the 9th, and also, as I said, 1 in the 3rd, as opposed to Pacific's only 1 point in the 5th.
And just looking at it, game came down to the 9th inning. You had Ben Welch, who was intentionally walked, coming towards the end of it. Brett Johnson advanced to second, and then the catcher, Curtis Wildung, came in, flew out to center field, sacrifice fly, but he got the RBI, bringing Bo Pearson home with 2 outs. But then that was enough to clinch the game, and PLU won 2-1.
The second game was not as good for the Lutes. Pacific ended up turning their bats real hot. 13-6, PLU falls. Pacific had scored 2 in the first, 1 in the second, 3 in the third, and 7 in the 6th. PLU could just not come back. Pacific ends up going 13 runs, 19 hits, no errors, while PLU could only manage 6 runs and 8 hits. On that day, Pacific ended up going 2 for 6, 1 and 4 in conference. PLU 9 and 4, 3 and 2 in conference.
The most glaring fact was the 11 hits that Pacific was able to put up on them. Now, that was Saturday. Sunday,
little different story.
Tables kind of turned just a little bit. As the Lutes won 14-0, they got 6 in the first, 3 runs in the second, 2 in the fourth, 2 in the fifth, 1 in the sixth, and then that's all she wrote. They didn't score any others, but Pacific did not do any damage as well. And with that win, PLU goes to 10-4 overall, 4-2 in league play, and Pacific falls to 2-7, 1-5 in league play.
Yeah, it was kind of unreal. As I said, you have that phenom sophomore Ben Welch going 3 for 4 on the day, Tanner Williams going 1 for 4, Jacob Clements going 2 for 5, Colin Nilsson going 3 for 4, Tyler Thompson 2 for 4. Just some of the names. Our second baseman Landon Packer going 1 for 1, Drew Ord going 2 for 3, and even Curtis Wildung, our catcher, going 2 for 5. To have that kind of production out of your bats, scoring 14 points in the day, unreal for the Lutes. That's usually not something you kind of see. Of course, you do play the full 9 innings. PLU didn't have to hit the 9th because of the convincing 14 points that they already put up. So to get 17 hits on the day out of 14 runs, yeah, they did have 1 error, but just an unreal batting day for the Lutes. Something that's, kind of exciting to see what they're going to do in these next couple games.
All around great performance, and I mean it was great to pick up that series win against Pacific.
Kind of moving on, we see that our men's tennis team, they kind of had struggled over the weekend. On February 28th, they did play George Fox at Sprinker, as long as Pacific as well on March 1st. They lost both matches 9-0. Not the best time for the Lutes to fall. As I said, George Fox in that first round of games, 9, PLU 0. Singles competition was struggling a little bit. Chris Lilly from George Fox beat our Sam Stater 6-4, 6-2. James Okabu fell 6-1, 6-3 to George Fox's Andrew Yu. Noel Otang Menish fell 6-1, 6-1 against Spencer Wantabe of George Fox. Alberto Leal fell 1-6, 6-1, 6-1. Jeremy Marsh lost 6-2, 6-3. And then to kind of finish it up in singles competition, Chris Erkila 6-1 and 6-0. Just not a great day for Lutes. Kind of moving on to doubles competition. We were defeated in every single one of those as well. PLU lost with Sam Stater, and James Okabu lost to Spencer Wantabe and Andrew Yu 8-3. Jeremy Marsh and Noel Oteng Mensah fell 8-6 to Chase Stalcup and Chris Liley. Alberto Leal and Chris Ercola fell 8-0 to Vincent Deloria and Nicholas Grafton. Match notes kind of looking overall. George Fox 3-1, 2-1 in Northwest Conference. PLU is now 1-3, 1-2 in Northwest Conference.
Women's tennis from the past weekend on Saturday, February 28th. They lost at George Fox 8-1. And then yesterday on Sunday, March 1st, they lost at Pacific 6-3. Their away road trip to Portland came up 0-2, dropping their overall record to 0-4 and 0-4 in conference as well. Sarah Tumler defeated Caroline Dewar in singles competition of PLU. Chantel Hadid of George Fox beat Allison McClure. Taylor Barnes beat Megan Byers. Katrina Kwong beat Emily Bauer of PLU. Emily Bernsterboyer defeated Andrea Motley, and Allie Deal defeated Stephanie Baker, and that was in singles competition. And then doubles, George Fox just kind of ran the table and defeated the Lutz women's tennis team as well. So kind of a rough outing for the women's tennis. They are back at home this weekend on the 7th and 8th against Willamette and College of Idaho, beginning at 1 o'clock on Saturday against Willamette. Lutz softball.
Yeah, I know. You kind of look at the score. It was 3-1, and the Lutz did fall. PLU actually was winning the majority of the game. We were up 1-0 at the top of the 6th, and once it became the bottom of the 6th, that's when kind of the Bruins, or the George Fox Bruins, kind of put a beating on us. They ended up scoring 3 runs in that inning. PLU came back on the top of the 7th, couldn't get anything happening. Game automatically gets over. PLU had 1 run and 5 hits and 1 error. That error kind of set them over the edge. Obviously, we saw that George Fox only had, they had more, my apologies. They had 9 hits on 3 runs, so they made the most out of their opportunities.
I just want to keep on going. Typically, especially in that first weekend, we saw when they played, St. Martin's came up here in Northwest and played against Lutz at home. You saw the first inning, it was rough. The opposition, the bats were hot. Things were just flying everywhere. They scored some runs, and the Lutz started in a hole early on. Now, something we kind of saw this weekend, just looking at the George Fox game, the Lutz scored 1 run in the 3rd inning, and then George Fox put up 3 in the last inning.
Yeah.
In the 6th, and then they didn't even have to hit in the 7th because the Lutz didn't do any damage.
That the second game that the Lutz played on Saturday was not as great. Leah Butters came in to pitch. She ended up only pitching 1.1 innings, gave up 5 hits, 7 earned runs, struck out 2, and gave up 3 home runs in the process. PLU actually had scored 1 run in the first. George Fox came, tied it up 1-1. PLU put up 4 in the second, but then George Fox came up and put 7 in the second. Nobody scored in the third. George Fox came back in the 7th and put another 7-point run on the Lutz. Final score ended up being 15-5 after the game was cut short after being the 10-run rule in the 5th inning.
George Fox is a good team. They're 6-2 right now, 2-0 overall in conference play, and that's probably the biggest thing looking at the games against St. Martin's and Northwest. It's non-conference. But then when you start playing these George Foxes and Pacific, that's where it really matters when it comes to the Northwest and how things are going to shape out later on in the long run.
Yeah, moving along to Sunday, the Lutz were able to grab 2 from the Pacific Boxers. Final score of that first game was 7-6. The first inning, PLU didn't get anything going. Pacific had to put up 3 points. PLU came back, scored another 1 point in the second inning, 2 in the third, and 4 in the fourth. Ended up finishing the game, as I said, 7-6.
And this is one that you kind of had to watch because the Lutz did a great job all the way throughout. They got 1 in the 3rd inning. They got 2 in the 6th. and then won in the 7th. But next thing you know, Pacific, who's 9-5, now 2-2 in conference play. I mean, they made it interesting coming down to the end.
Miller was able to clutch up, get the game-winning few pitches. Lutz come out on top, capitalized on 3 Pacific errors.
With that, the PLU girls are now 3-5 overall with a 1-3 home record, 2-2 away, and 2-2 in conference. So after dropping 2 to George Fox on Saturday, they come back and win 2 against Pacific. 2 big wins, and they needed it. Next week, they are going over the mountains. They're playing at Whitworth both days. They got a 4-game set against the Pirates.
Tune in to Laser online on Mondays at 1 to hear more of Stephen Austin's radio talk show. That's all we have time for tonight, Lutz. As always, you can check in with us at mastmedia.plu.edu. For everyone here in the studio, myself, have a nice night, and we'll see you next week.